Well, do we have some good news for you this week, folks? The housing crisis, it's been solved. Yep, none other than Australia's most popular political YouTuber and Labor Party genius, Jordan-friendly Jordies Shanks, has solved everything. Well, his team of writers and leftist economists from The Guardian and the Australia Institute think they've solved everything anyway. And surprise, surprise, the answer is simple.
Here's a graph comparing prices from 1970 to 2017. You can see that the price of housing started leaving average earnings in the dust around the late 1990s. What was happening in the late 1990s? Oh, that's right. The Liberal government! Look, I'm sorry, I know you're sick of hearing it, but it is factually entirely the Liberal Party's fault.
Great. Now, I'd like to applaud the Other Side viewer who wrote in the last episode's comments section after we mentioned Jordan Shanks on our last show, "Friendly Jordies? WTF? Why do I have to see him on this show?" Let me be very clear. I'd like nothing more than to completely ignore this guy. He's a comedian that isn't funny, and as a political and economics commentator, he's got one shtick, and that's that everything is the fault of Conservatives and the Liberal Party, and a system of socialism controlled by him and 10 of his mates would, fix everything. But there's one tiny problem with ignoring this 19-year-old university student trapped in the body of a 35-year-old man with ageless skin and dazzling teeth. He is massively, massively influential. It's a problem all the geniuses in the Liberal Party would like to ignore and do ignore. In fact, they still think that the old mainstream media is the only media in town. So I'd hate to knock them out of their 20th century PR mindset. They've probably never even heard of Friendly Jordies. But just to fill you in, guys, he's got 1.3 million, with an M, subscribers on YouTube. And within one day after the release of that 20-minute video solving the housing crisis, he'd clocked up 200,000 views. That's enough to make Sky News salivate with envy, and they're pretty huge on social media themselves. Now, let me get one thing out of the way right up front. Jordan is younger, better looking, and approximately 25 times more popular than me on YouTube. You could say I'm just jealous of his youth and success. But let me tell you right now, you're absolutely right. But the point is, we need to counter his nonsense because it works and it's influencing way too many people who vote, especially people under 35, even though he isn't under 35. One thing I do like about old Friendly Jordies is that he slams the shallowness of the media and he slams the ABC for its insufferable cliche existence almost as much as we do. Like his takedown of this recent interview with Labor's Housing Minister Claire O'Neill on Triple J's nauseating hack program.
These policies, is it to bring down house prices? Is that what the government wants to do?
We want to bring house price growth into something sustainable. So we're not trying to bring down house prices, but we don't want to see some of the growth that we've seen in some parts of the country where you're getting double-digit increases in house prices year on year.
Why don't you want to be seeing house prices drop? Because if you're looking to get into the market, if you're a young person looking at what's ahead of you, you definitely want to see house prices come down.
Well, that may be the view of young people. It's not the view of our government. We want to see sustainable price growth. We want to see more houses come online. We want to see that rental vacancy rate go up a bit because that will relieve pressure on renters. And we certainly want to see more homeowners. And the government has taken action on all of those pieces this week.
Minister, if house prices don't come down, doesn't that mean that this system is stacked against young people, that it's just not going to work for them?
Sure. And Dave, we may have a difference of view about this. I have a strong view. Our government's, policies are not going to reduce house prices. We want house prices to grow sustainably.
Well, it's good to see the ABC's kept up with the quota of every white male in the building being a bearded ginger, because that man's certainly not going to get hired as a lifeguard.
Okay, he's right about that. He's also right about some hard truths.
We enjoy complaining about not having a house almost as much as we don't enjoy not having a house. But if you look at the OECD data, housing prices have been going up in basically every OECD nation. In fact, we have it better than a lot of the big boys. Australians pay around 23% of their income towards mortgage or rent, which is high, but it's less than the UK, USA, Canada, New Zealand, Chile, all the Scandinavian countries. Why is it important to put this all in perspective though? Well, It busts a bunch of myths that you'll hear endlessly on TikTok, like, what we need is a vacancy tax so there's more houses. A lot of these countries have more available housing stock than we do. They're still more expensive. It's because we don't have enough public housing. Plenty of these countries have more public and social housing than we do. Still more expensive.
So some of his diagnosis is excellent. I fully agree with that. It's just the solution is, well, it's exactly, and I mean exactly, the Labor Party's plan, which is big government, socialist, interventionist rubbish. It's like the Australia Institute wrote the policy, handed it straight to the Guardian and friendly Jordies for promotion, and bypassed the Labor Party officials altogether. Probably a good idea, to be honest. Anyway, I'll again applaud friendly Jordies for his very necessary and valid attacks on the Greens and Teal pretend independence. He also eviscerates their inane and highly politically opportunistic dumb ideas.
You can continue to believe the opportunistic lies of the independents and the Greens were just telling you what you want to hear, which is that, yeah, we'll just magically make housing go down, even though there's literally not enough votes in the country to do it, and that'll wipe trillions of dollars of people's investments off the table, but we'll do it. And we'll do it because we'll never have to deliver on it. Or you can get behind the party that is actually trying to address the problem in the real world, who is clearly telling you Plan A isn't going to work. The Greens are just pretending. Christ, this is slimy.
$3 billion to be directly spent on social housing. That's 6 times what the government wanted to spend. And it wouldn't have happened without the Greens there to push them like hell to make it happen.
Honestly, if the Greens were a company, Adam Bean would be in jail for fraud. See this video here? They're lying about even that, but the fact that they go on and on about, yes, $3 billion, so much, and then have the gall to turn around to Labor dropping 10 times that, that's actually not good enough. In fact, not just pretend it sucks, block it.
I cannot wait until we have a Labor-Green coalition government. It's going to be so much fun, isn't it? Labor will have to listen to this clown, Max Chandler Mather, the Greens MP from the inner city Brisbane seat of Griffith.
Scrap negative gearing and capital gain so a first home buyer gets a chance.
Ooh, that winning combination of self-absorbed, ignorant and arrogant. I can see where their vote is concentrated in the inner city.
I've got to agree with him again. Geordie's Labor mates better work out a way to whip the Greens and the Teals into line quick smart, or we're going to have a hell ride for the next 3 years and nobody will be able to afford a roof over their heads. Jordan's undergraduate analysis of the problem is half right, but at the end of the day, it sounds more like a Labor Party campaign ad than anything else. It's all the Liberal Party's fault, mainly John Howard's fault, for halving capital gains tax and allowing negative gearing. A deliberate conspiracy to divide Australia, Shanks says, because I'm not actually sure what that would achieve for the Liberal Party or anyone, frankly, but anyway, that's Labor's, friendly Jordies theory.
This was entirely their doing. They knew those tax loopholes would do this, that's one. They absolutely have no intention at all of doing anything about it, that's two. In fact, their intention is to make it worse. They want you to plunder your superannuation, which is your retirement fund, to further prop up the retirement fund pyramid scheme that the Liberals set up.
Yeah, because making things worse is a great way to get into and stay in government.
An entire generation of LARPing property investors. They want to keep that LARP going. Of course they do. The Liberals very deliberately set the system up in this way so that baby boomers bought into the pyramid scheme, where now their wealth and their retirement is locked into that very pyramid scheme.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's such a winning strategy to alienate everybody under 40. So no, mate, I don't think that's the Liberal Party's strategy for winning somehow. It's a conspiracy theory worthy of a trophy in the shape of a green lizard alien. Maybe we could get one of those for you. Jordies continues to promote Labor's policies of government interventions, all centrally controlled, of course. Policies that at least are honest left-wing policies, I'll give him that, unlike the nonsense that we get from the Teals and Greens. But he heavily downplays the two most obvious and biggest causes of the housing crises that don't fit his ideological agenda: immigration and the supply shortage, both caused by too much government intervention. It's Economics 101 that if there isn't enough of a thing that lots of people want, its price will go up. It's also Economics 101 that if the government leaves a market alone and regulates it as lightly as possible, only to deter bad actors and bad incentives when they absolutely have to, that the market will work out the most efficient way of meeting demand at an affordable price very quickly indeed. For example, one thing that would really help the housing supply problem is if small developers were able to make projects actually affordable again. And it'd be great if councils didn't front-load infrastructure charges for things like roads, water, sewerage and electricity, and then let the utilities companies charge like they paid for the infrastructure themselves later. That's double dipping. Loosening up on the labour costs, green tape, red tape, and taxes on materials, they all might help a lot too. Let people build. Support prosperity, support property developers, instead of treating them like the most evil people on the planet. Have you noticed that we don't have enough property developers actually wanting to build anything right now? That's because it's too damn expensive and too risky. And maybe not letting in the entire population of Darwin and Canberra every year might help slow the demand down a little bit. But Jordies won't discuss immigration. He puts it in as one little aspect and supplies one little aspect. No, he won't. He mocks anyone who raises the actual immigration problem as some sort of stereotypical dumb, racist, deplorable. And he sure as heck won't support any policy that might mean someone who wants to actually invest and develop and do something and create and build something gets a leg up, because then they might make a profit. Oh no. They might grow their business. Oh dear, we can't have that. And they might be able to employ more people and build more stuff and actually be productive. Blech, rich people, yuck. That'd be just horrible for Labor and the unions. You may have noticed if you've been overseas on holiday recently that you can log into your streaming services like Netflix or Prime in other countries, but the shows they offer are different and sometimes even better. You're paying good money for those subscription services. Why can't you watch? Well, with a virtual private network or VPN, you can log in from home here in Australia with an internet address from anywhere in the world, and big corporations and big government can't see where you are. Now, to be clear, criminals can still be actively found with police warrants, of course, but the average honest citizen will have their location protected from prying eyes of corporate marketers and government bureaucrats. If you sign up now with private internet access, we think they are the best VPN service out there. That's private internet access. As a viewer of The Other Side, you can get 83% off the price of your subscription and get online for less than $3 a month. Check it out right now. Go to piavpn.com/otherside. That's piavpn.com/otherside. It's a great service and a rock bottom price, and you're helping keep the other side going and growing. That was a segment from a recent episode of our fortnightly news commentary show, The Other Side, with me, Damien Curry. If you liked it, support us. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube right now so you don't miss a thing. It's totally free. Just click that subscribe button and the little bell. And check out our Other Side Unplugged show too, and join our mission to actually do something and change Aussie media for the better at othersidetv.com.au. That's othersidetv.com.au. Check it out now.